What's going on, guys? In the works, and this has got to be one of my favorite maps in Battlefield 4, Dawnbreaker. It is just a gorgeous map. Now it does play kind of crappy on a certain situation, but as far as looks and just theme goes, I don't think you can really get much better than this map. You know, it goes from a nighttime map to like an early morning map, and you can actually see the sunrise. I think that's pretty awesome. But we're going to be talking about the assault rifles today because this is a class of weapon that I really wasn't that interested in Battlefield 3. I tended to stay away from the assault class just because I found it to be really boring. It just really didn't offer anything exciting. I really preferred to play as an engineer. Well, I've put a lot, and I mean a lot of hours into the engineer class on Battlefield 4. And when I got back from the London Showdown event, I really just wanted to play as the assault kit, try out some of the assault rifles, level up this particular set of weapons, and I screwed up right there. I heard that guy defusing, but I was way too slow. I wanted to level up these weapons, get them all unlocked, because I mostly practice as the Engie. You know, I've got all my hours in the game mostly under the engineer class, so I wanted something a little bit different. And I was actually really intrigued by the weapons because during practice I got a chance to try out all the new assault rifles, including the ones that are going to be in the second assault DLC. And I actually kind of liked them. You know, it seemed like the assault class is better balanced overall. It doesn't seem like, you know, the medic can just lead the charge in every situation like it used to be able to. But that being said, I will admit, the assault rifles seem to be the most powerful class of weapons still in the game, and that's probably for a pretty good reason. It is nice though to see the carbines, you know, as an option out there, which makes it a little bit more interesting. You probably won't see as many people rely on the medic / assault class just because they can strap on an AK-5C, you know, an ACWR, and run around and play really aggressive as a recon player, which I thought was a pretty smart idea. You know, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think the carbines really work well on the Engie class. I think that's what their bread and butter is, at least in my opinion. But these assault rifles, what are my thoughts on them? Well, they are really good. You know, a lot of people have been out there already declaring the M416, basically the M16 of Battlefield 4, which, you know, it's a good weapon, but I don't think it's quite the M16. I think there's a lot of really cool weapons in this particular grouping of weapons, especially some of the lower RPM weapons like the SAR-21. I looked at this and I was like, oh man, another 600 RPM weapon that no one's going to use. But then I actually used it, I actually gave it a shot, and I was like, wow, you know, this isn't too bad. It's got really moderate recoil, and it really actually works pretty well on these longer lines of sight maps because you can really pick people off at a distance. So being a person who liked weapons like the AEK M416 and, you know, just those really moderate recoil, low fire rate weapons, I found the SAR-21 to be one of my favorite assault rifles, and it seems to have a lot of character. You know, at medium to long range, I don't really think you can ask for a better weapon than the SAR-21, but when it comes up to being up in your face and stuff like that, I don't really see it being a powerhouse of a weapon. So I'm not going to make any declarations and say that the SAR-21 is the best weapon in the game, because it's clearly not. I think every weapon, every situation is going to be different in how it behaves, how it handles. But that being said, I have had a chance to try out almost every single one of these assault rifles. I've tried the high fire rate ones, I've tried the low fire rate ones, and my favorite thing about this class of weapons is the variance among the fire rates. Because in Battlefield 3, all we really had was 3 different types of fire rates. We either had the high end of the spectrum, you know, 900, 950, and 1000. Then we had the middle range of the spectrum, which was your 700 and 750, and then you just had your AEK M416, which only shot 650 rounds per minute. So there wasn't a lot of changes, but if you go in and you look at some of the stats of the different assault rifles, you've got 1000 RPM per minute on the FAMAS. You've got 600 here on the SAR-21. You've got a couple with 650. You've got one with 700. You know, the AUG I think shoots around 700. So there's a lot of variance among these fire rates, which I think makes for a more exciting game, because each weapon doesn't feel like it's just a reskin of another weapon, which I know a lot of people felt like that with some of the Battlefield 3 weapons. So assault rifles as a whole feel a lot better to me. I feel like there's going to be a lot more things for us to learn and play with. And don't ever try to front knife me, because the counter knife is super easy, and I have to get in the teabag there. I mean, when you counter knife someone, you've got to celebrate, and I guess that's really the only way to celebrate in this game. And then I get a little side knife of my own. But yeah, I think the assault rifles are going to be fun to use. I'm really excited to see that my my SCAR-H is back in its former glory. It does 34 damage, meaning up close that SCAR-H is a 3-bullet kill. Granted, it does only shoot 600 and I think 20 rounds per minute, but it's still a really strong weapon. So like I said, there's a lot of different characteristics among these assault rifles. So let me know in the comments, what weapon is your favorite out of the assault rifle class that you've tried out so far? I've tried out everything, like I said. At the Showdown event, I was unlocking all the different things and just playing around with it to see which worked best. I know a lot of people really like the Ace and the CZ805, which are some of the later unlocks on the assault rifle tree of unlocks. So hopefully I'll get those unlocked on this particular one. I do know some insider info about some cool assault rifles that we will be getting in the second assault DLC. I won't talk too much about that in this video because I don't want to spoil it. We'll save that for the second assault DLC video. But what I can promise you guys, you bullpup fans, you will be getting a nice little treat in the second assault DLC with a weapon that I actually thought was one of the best assault rifles, and it was kind of a bummer that it's not in the main course of assault rifles. They're gonna make us wait. But like I said, let me know what your favorite assault rifle is thus far. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you missed any of my past videos, here's a chance to catch up, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.